In the name of Amen, the Supreme, the all-powerful, the one and only true Lord, in Amen we trust, as the Republic of Mentellect, the real 144,000 is being gathered in this day and time, the Mentellectuals. Benzeka Aminun to all of my Mentellectual brothers and sisters out there, registered members of the Republic of Mentellect, and to all future Mentellectuals who have yet to find their way home to the Republic of Mentellect, which is Amen's community. I send greetings out to you, and I send peace out to you in our Mentellect language by saying to you, Benzeka Aminun. Good evening, I'm your host, the intellectual NUBEN MENKARAYZZ, and this is Mentellect Radio, and tonight we're going to be discussing the evolution or the evolving into the Mentellectual mind. You know, this title, if you notice, we no longer, as the Republic of Mentellect, we no longer use the term Mentellian. You know, we no longer use the term Mentellian because that title became too limiting for a limitless community, a people or personification of beings who are in a continuous and a constant state of growth. It has become too limited, right? We are not, nor can we not be measured by boundaries, borders, and nations and continents. I said this before and I'll say it again. This whole planet belongs to us. This whole planet belongs to us, the Amen race. We are the Amen race that are being raised in this day and time. We are those who are intellectually inclined to receive our higher mental powers, our high mind powers on earth. We are first in alignment for this in this day and time. And we are rejoicing at this. You know, when we came into this term of referring to ourselves as Mentellectuals, evolving out of mentalists, evolving out of Mentellian, because I have to be honest, the word Mentellian, it tended to have too much of a nationalistic, vibe. Some might even say cultish, right? And I didn't want that. I didn't want to be limited by nationality and culture and all these other things, because we're so much bigger than that. We're celestial beings, and we are celestial beings in the mind, the higher mind. So when I decided, because I had this title in my head for a long time, and I never utilized it, but now seem very appropriate, being that we are in the into the 20 years into the 20th century, 2020, was 4. And I was always struggling with those titles, Mentellian and Mentalist, because it just seemed like we were bigger than that. And we are bigger than that. We are bigger than that as a collective body of people. And now we have wings to fly, and we have the bodies to grow more and more extended as Mentellectuals of Amenic ascent. We are those Mentellectuals of Amenic ascent, or Amen ascent. We are those high or extended minds, because that's what the Mentellectual, evolves into. Those who are in that higher state of mind, that extended state of mind. Right? As those Mentellectuals, as those who are mentally elect or chosen to receive these higher mental capabilities, we are evolving at a rapid pace, a steady yet rapid pace. And a lot of people are not going to be able to stay on board with that. We realize that, and I come to realize that, when you are, establishing an intelligence community, a community that's dealing with the mind, mental capabilities, higher intelligence, higher thinking and logic and rationale and extended mental capabilities, of course you're going to have certain people who are not mentally inclined, who are not extended mentally, people who have mental issues, who come in who are slow in their development mentally, and these are the people who usually end up fighting against the machine, the mental machine that we have all become a part of in this next era of evolution and extension. We have become part of a greater machine as we have entered into the realm as Mentellectuals. It was a no-brainer for us to become Mentellectuals or evolve into that state of Mentellectuals, being that we are registered members of the Republic of Mentellect. So all those who are registered members of the Republic of Mentellect have to be Mentellectuals. Not intellectuals, but Mentellectuals. Meaning those chosen minds who are being extended onto a higher state, into the 4th dimension. That's the Mentellectual. I made sure I bought the rights for that. trademark, copyright trademark especially. And I bought up all of the, .coms for it because we're going to have a huge Mentellectual convention in the coming years. Huge Mentellectual conventions are coming in. You're going to be coming in the years to come. And our gatherings will get bigger as time goes on, as we find fellow Mentellectuals. As we find those fellow Mentellectuals, and we are extending ourselves by the image of Amen, which represents the omni, or the continuous, of which we have become a part of, that continuous motion, that continuous machine of motion, by way of our minds, our bodies, and our souls. We have connected to a higher state of being, a higher state of realization of who we came here to be and what we are being tuned into. You'll see those of you who are still walking with us as we have evolved into Mentellectuals, you'll see a lot more things starting to happen, which you mentally, your mind will start to pick up on a lot of things stronger as we have evolved into this state. The ones who fell off before we got to this state, it was meant for them to fall off. We overextended ourselves, and they overextended themselves, and being that they overextended themselves to the point where there was no return. We have extended ourselves to we have no return as well. All our movement is forward now as Mentellectuals. Though when we took the name and we started to officially wear it as of today, March 1st. I didn't want that name announced till March 1st. All of our groups on Facebook and Blog Talk, there's no more Mentellian. And on our sites, the word Mentellian will be stricken away, because we have outgrown this. We have outgrown nationality, nations, and things like that, because that is the mindset of people who have been told that they belong in sections of the planet. We have let people convince us that we belong in sections of the planet, when in actuality, this whole entire planet belongs to us. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that one time. He said, every square inch, every square mile of this planet belongs to us. So why are we sitting around here calling ourselves, calling ourselves African and whatever we call ourselves, Asiatics and all this other nonsense, when this whole planet belongs to us? Every last square mile, people are here taking up space on our planet. We are the first people here. So therefore, we are connected to the beings who brought everything into this existence, into this state of life. We are direct projections of that higher state of beings. We are a part of that, and we are coming into alignment with that going forward, that higher state of ourselves. So it was necessary for us to become those highest thinking beings on the planet. And that's what we want. We want to become those high projected beings, those high projecting beings on the planet, those high thinking beings on the planet, those high transmissive beings on the planet, by becoming those Mentellectuals, as it was meant for us to become. This was a school that we literally had to go through, because in this school, in this journey, those of you who walked with me, you might have walked with me from the beginning. You might have been with me a few years, and you've seen your growth in this time in which you've been walking with me. You've seen that your ways of thinking has changed, has evolved. You've seen certain people come in here, and you've seen them go out of here, and they've all left with the same mentality, that limited mind frame. But it has not stopped those of you who are truly of the elect from developing that diamond mind. That diamond mind, that mind that is like a supreme crystal of projection. That's why I put up the image of a silhouette with a diamond in it, because that's literally what your minds are becoming. Your minds are becoming those crystallized reflectors of higher states of dimensions. Your minds are becoming that. Your minds will begin to picture or key into or cut into or key into higher states of being, higher states of living, higher states of life. You will be able to have projections of this in your mind, because your mind is becoming transmissive, transparent. All things that were once considered to be solid and formed in our minds are becoming formless. What do I mean by it, formless? Meaning that the things that we once gave energy to, form to, shape to things that we thought were real, the more and more, and that goes for people, place, and possession, the more and more we become part of this transmissive mind, the more and more we come from the submental state of being to the transmissive state of life and reality. All of these things are going to start to become formless. In other words, they're not going to be real to us. Because, and it becoming formless, right, when it starts to fall apart, like I said, you see these people, and it's just like the matter, the material that they were doing and saying, the things they were a part of, it just starts to become smaller and smaller and smaller till it becomes, what's the word I want to say? Matterless. In other words, it doesn't matter. It becomes very small, almost like particles. I see people as particles now. I don't even see them as people anymore. They become that small to me. They're becoming small to me, right? And it's almost like they're becoming particles, like literally like dust particles. That's how I see a lot of these people out here. They're like literally like dust particles. You see? Insignificant. Right? Their chatter, their talk, and the more and more we evolve and advance into this intellectual state of mind, this intellectual state of being, this intellectual state of life, the more and more you will see these people become more and more insignificant in your life. The things that you once put energy into will become more and more insignificant. Sacrifice won't even mean the same anymore. Why do I say that? Because I was going to put something on Facebook, and it struck me to put it on. I'm going to still put it up there. I said, something's only a sacrifice when you don't want to do it. Because I talk about sacrifice all the time, and I was always the biggest thing on telling our people we have to sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. And I said, you know what? Nothing that we do in motion to this fourth dimensional state should be really a sacrifice at this point. Nothing should be a sacrifice at this point if we really want it. Now, if you don't really want it, if you kind of want to stay in this three-dimensional or in this two-dimensional frame, then it will be a sacrifice. You see? It will be a sacrifice if you don't really want it. So now I'm going to stop even using the word sacrifice. There's no more sacrifice. We passed that as those intellectuals. We no longer use the word sacrifice anymore. That's cut out. Because we want this evolution. We want it. We want this evolution. We want this. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Am I coming in clear? Am I coming in clear? Let me know by the group. All right. So I'm not even using the term sacrifice anymore. Sacrifice is things you do when you really don't want to do something. It becomes like a grind to you. When something becomes a grind to you, when you feel like you got to sacrifice, because we passed the point of sacrifice, right? We passed that point of sacrifice. This, what we do in this community, in this republic, is a necessity. This is a necessity. The people that don't see this community as a necessity, I don't want you here. The people that feel like this is a grind or this is a sacrifice and I got to do this, I don't want you here. I don't want your money. I don't want nothing from you. Because if we done left that sacrificial mindset. You know what I'm saying? That was a mindset of the humans. That's a mindset of the humans who don't really want to evolve, who don't really want to grow, who can't extend themselves. And that's not us. That is not us as intellectuals. That is not us. We are the first and only chosen of the fourth dimension. That's what we're being raised into. We are the first and the only of the chosen of the fourth dimension. That's what we're being raised into. You should want this. You should find this as a necessity. This should be like air to you. This should be like breathing to you. This should be like walking to you. This should be like washing yourself. This is a necessity, not a sacrifice. See, you realize this on the path of evolution when we start using this term intellectual, and more things are going to come. You're going to hear a difference in the transmissions more and more, right? And even in our growth as a community, you're going to hear the change and the growth in it and the evolution in it, right? You get tired of certain things and you want to walk away from certain things, right? You want to walk away from certain things. People who don't really want to do what they're supposed to do, which they don't feel is necessary, right? Those are the people you let go. The people that don't really want to see this as a necessity because, again, this is the only path we got. We got no other choice. And I don't want no other choice. This is a necessity. This is what we've come here to be. So I shouldn't have to keep using the word sacrifice at this point as intellectuals. We shouldn't have to keep using this. You only do this to people when they're stubborn and you got to pull them like mules to get them to do what you want. Oh, come on. That's like trying to convince people. Come on, y'all got to sacrifice this. Come on, we got to sacrifice. No, we ain't sacrificing nothing no more. Sacrifice is not needed. What's necessary and what's needed continuously is this transmission. And once we acknowledge that this is like air to us, this is like, life to us. This is life to us. Not like this is life to us. This is why I want our people to see this message as life to us, as living air. You understand? Water, an element. I want this to take on the form of an element. Mentellect is going to take on the form of an element that is much needed, that is necessary in our lives to advance us mentally. It is a necessity. It is a must. So then it's not a thing when it comes down to paying dues, because that's a necessity to keep this transmission going. Everything costs. If people don't feel it's necessary, then you don't need to be it. If it's a grind to you, you got to make yourself do it. You don't need to be it. I don't want this. I don't want the sacrifice no more. That went out with the Mentellectual thing. That went out with the mentalist thing. We are now about necessity. What is needed? What is necessary? This message, this transmission, is now an element to us, a vital element in our mental transmission, a vital element in our mental extension. That's what this has become. This is how we have to look at it and how it is. The Mentellectual lives by thought. The Mentellectual lives by thought. We don't live by belief. We don't live by faith. We don't even live by truth and lies. We live by thought, supreme thought. We live by that alone. Reality. Pure thought is reality. Pure transmission, the reality of who we are, who we've come to be, is just that, necessity. Who we are growing into. Growth is necessary. We can't stay the way we were. And now that we done took this path as the Mentellectuals, we have taken on our final name in this path and on this journey into the fourth dimension. There's no need to look back. There's no need to change, because we're not changing, we're evolving. There's a big difference. We are not changing, we are evolving. I'm going to do a broadcast on that. Change means same as, positive and negative, right? Like people change their mind, right? I want to do it this minute. I don't want to do it this next minute. I want to do it this minute. We ain't changing. We're evolving. We're growing. Change works off of a circular current. It works off of an infinite current of positive and negative. We ain't changing anything. We are evolving into a greater state of being. This is what we've come to be as the Mentellectuals. We have freed ourselves from boundaries. We have freed ourselves from borders, nationality, nations. We bigger than nations. We bigger than boundaries. We bigger than borders. Hail Amen. Amen is raising us to see the eternal possibility of forward motion, continuous motion, as those Mentellectual beings, those who have been chosen to see it in this day and time. And those who have been chosen to see it in this day and time, our ascendants are giving us a glimpse into the future through this message. I speak for them. I speak for our ascendants. The first, next mind in the fourth dimension. The first. We represent the first. This is what we've come to. And I tell people all the time, those who cannot walk this path, turn back around. Turn back around. Because there's only going to be pure minds, pure souls, and pure bodies on this path. Nothing matters that happened yesterday. It don't matter. That's why people make me laugh when they talk, it don't matter. Nothing matters what happened yesterday. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what happened yesterday. Don't even matter what happened today. It's always about tomorrow. We're not going to get stuck in yesterday, and we damn sure ain't going to get stuck today. We are all about tomorrow. We are evolving continuously, and we are transmitting future roads ahead of us. Future visions ahead of us are being laid out right in front of us. Future worlds are being thrown right in front of our faces. And when we're going to have people that's going to have a hard time letting things go. Right? When your children are being made, when you think about the lives of your children going forward in this future world, raising them as mentellectuals, raising them into this next era, and thus them helping to guide you into this next era, you will think to yourself, you know what? This was all necessary. This is all was necessary. This is what it came to be. And it really wasn't a sacrifice at all. This was necessary. This was needed. We had to go down this path. We had to go down this road. Even in some of the mistakes I made or the missteps I made, it was all necessary for evolution and growth. I realized that. We're always going to be growing. As long as we are breathing, we are growing. As long as we are taking in air, we are growing. We will continuously grow in the light, in the darkness, and then definitely in the brightness, because we're being pulled by the brightness of thought and continuous transmission. We are registering in the fourth dimension. We are projecting ourselves in the fourth dimension. We are making our image or our projection seen in the fourth dimension by what we're doing now. As the Mentellectuals, we're showing our ascendants that we are here. We are here. We live. We are showing them the brightness of us because, again, without this brightness, they don't recognize us. They don't recognize us because they work off of intelligence. Our ascendants work off of intelligence. So those who were not able to receive this transmission, that means their ascendants are not part of the intelligent future race. They're not part of the Mentellectuals. They're not a part of it. We are being chosen as those elect minds to move into the future because, you know, it could have happened whereas everybody on this planet could have passed away and a new generation or regeneration could have came about and we would have had no link to them going forward in the future because we would have all been dead. We all would have been gone. But we are fortunate enough to be living in this day and time to see the reality and necessity and becoming who we are becoming. Who we are transmitting into what we are being transformed into. We are making this continuous projection, and a lot of people still want to hold on to yesterday. We should be so excited that we don't even want to look back. I laugh at the people who say, you know, if I was 20 again, 30 again, if I was 15 again, I would go back and do this. No, I don't want to be. You shouldn't want to be. I don't care if you're 80 years old right now. You shouldn't want to go back to being younger. You understand? You should thank Amen that you made it to this age, that you have come into this message, that you have evolved into this, because everything that you went through, the sum total of your life had to get you to this point, to be here in this day and time, to be of the chosen, to be of the elect, to hear this message of intellect, but so many people will not. This was a necessity, and we are fortunate enough to be chosen in this day and time. Many who walked away and turned their backs, they didn't understand. They definitely didn't understand. They really didn't understand. See? And that's fine. That's fine. On the road to projection, there are going to be many rejections. On the road to perfection, there's going to be many rejections. You know, you have certain people that were practicing instead of perfecting themselves. You had many people that were practicing instead of perfecting themselves. Like you heard the term, I'm a practicing Muslim, I'm a practicing this, meaning that they're trying to live that way of life. They practice and living that way of life. We ain't practicing nothing as Mentellectuals. We are perfecting ourselves in real time. In real time. By necessity. No more sacrifice. By necessity. This is how we live, by thought. We live by thought. We live by transmission. We don't need to be social anymore. We don't need to be out and about like that. We need to bring ourselves within collectively and become a part of this body collectively and extend ourselves by way of this body. A lot of people on this path, like I said, the reality of who you are is going to show itself. I don't care who you are. The reality of who you are is going to always show itself. In the work that you do on this path, on this journey, when you sweat the small things, because we ain't sweating the small things no more. We ain't sweating it no more. You see, we ain't sweating the small things. We looking at the bigger picture of everything and the necessity of everything in our lives. What's needed. Sacrifice is not needed. Convincing people is not needed. Trying to explain to people is not needed anymore. If you don't know, then that means you're not meant to know. Nobody's going to baby you. Nobody's going to coddle you. Nobody's going to make you feel better about a decision or a choice that people are making in their lives that may not include you. You should accept that as a man and as a woman. Accept it and learn to appreciate a person's choice and their growth and their evolution. Don't attach yourself to nobody else's evolution and growth unless you are invited. You see, we don't hold people back as intellectuals. We let our people come forward because we coming forward collectively together. Those people who want to be babied and held back, we're going to let you go. We're going to let you go. We want to be forced to stand as real men and real women in this day as intellectuals. Something that, because like I said, I looked at that, when we was doing the Mentellectual thing and the mentalist thing, we basically had on our training wheels. We had on our baby shoes, right? Because I tolerated a lot of stuff from a lot of people. I tolerated a lot in this course of evolution, right? I said I'm even gonna stop commenting on the ex-members page. I'm gonna stop commenting. I'm gonna erase all them comments. I'm gonna keep the page up, of course, but I'm not gonna comment on these people because that's what they want. I'm not talking to these people. It's not necessary for me to talk to these people. They're a bunch of losers. I'm not talking to losers no more. Right? I'm not commenting. I'm just gonna erase that. All I'm gonna do is put up a few things and whatnot. Keep people abreast, and I'm gonna erase all the comments. I don't want to talk, and I don't want nobody in there talking to these people. They're not worth our energy or our time. They lost. We don't give our energy to the lost. We don't feed the dead. All right? We don't feed the dead and we don't walk with the dead. We're walking in the age of the living now. And in the age of the living, the fourth dimensionals, the mentellectuals, we only do what's necessary for our own evolution. That's it. We only do what's necessary for our own evolution, for our own growth. We're not concerned with nobody else. We ain't got time to be. This path of growth and this journey in which we on takes too much power, mental energy, and it's going to take even more power and mental energy because you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be pulling from us and looking for us to feed them on some level. What do I mean by that? I mean, just with the things we produce in books, the epic books, the magazine, all the stuff that we're going to produce, right, business-wise and whatnot, which is going to raise people on some level mentally. We got to put our energy into that, into the business of business. We have to learn to mind our business. Mind our business, meaning we have to put our minds on our business. Mind our business. And we should not be putting our minds on things that are not necessary to talk about. Gossip, innuendo, all kind of nonsense. The people that's doing that, I'm saying going forward as intellectuals, that's going to stop. That is going to stop. We're going to have a zero tolerance as intellectuals for all this gossip nonsense and all this back and forth and this slander nonsense of people doing what we don't have. It's going to come a time where, if I hear them, I'm just going to tell you, leave. Just leave. The people who can't grow past that, because, you outgrow certain things. Your tolerance level becomes zero because we're moving to something bigger, something greater. And I got to be hard on myself with that too. But it's not even really hard because, again, I look back and I look at myself now and I'm like, it's not even really a sacrifice. Again, because like I said, I'm not into sacrificing anymore. Just doing it because it's necessary. If I speak a certain way And I am speaking from this mindset of pure logic, pure rational, and straight seriousness. We growing, and we are setting another dynamic. We are bringing forward a new dynamic, something that the world needs, because this world is sick. This planet is sick because it is in the hands of mentally ill people, sick people of all races within the humans. They're sick, so they make this planet sick. So the only hope for our planet, this planet Amen, is that we heal and raise ourselves out of this state of sickness. Disregard the things that keep us in a limited state of being. Disregard the things that keep us in a weak state of mind. Disregard. This is all about strengthening our minds for the greater transmission. Strengthening our minds for the greater ascension. Strengthening our minds to receive our higher mental capabilities, telepathy, psychometry, clairvoyance, intuition, all these things, NZZ, NZZ, N144, all these things, projecting another race that is coming out of us, this Amen race that's coming out of us, this brighter race that's coming out of these brighter children, these brighter seeds that are waiting to come through us as those open vessels. That's what this is about. We don't have time to worry about nothing else or care about nothing else. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. You don't see the so-called black race talking about the future now, do you? Their future is hinged on what white people doing. Their future is hinged on politics, their jobs, they're going to have their jobs tomorrow, politics, the government. Their future is basically saying their future is hinged on what white people doing. So that means they have no future. We're not thinking like that. Our future is based solely on this transmission as Mentellectuals. It's guidance that our ascendants are sending us because we decide to sever our tie with the two-dimensional realm, and eventually, as we gather in the three-dimension, to sever it with the three-dimensional realm and move steadily into the fourth dimension. But that takes a point of gathering. We're gathering, and it will make it a lot easier. I'm not even going to say easier, but it will make it more movable as we have become those Mentellectuals. Because even in the word, you could tell, like somebody was telling me, a sister said to me, you know, just in saying that word, it has become freeing to us mentally. We become a lot lighter in our way of thinking. Like we free a lot of nonsense out of our minds. A lot of fears, a lot of hang-ups, a lot of emotional scars, a lot of jealousy and envy, all this nonsense. We letting that go, man. We don't need it. And the people that can't let it go, we don't need you. You're no good to us being that way. I can be no good to you being that way. So I'm going to stop that. You have my word as your mentor, as the Amen Ray, representing the race of Amen on this planet today, as the receiver in this day and time, guiding you all forward, bringing this transmission to you live and direct. There is no other direction for us but forward. And I need to know who thinks that way. And like I said, time will tell. Because again, we don't need people who have an alternating mindset, an alternative mindset here. The alternative mindset is not necessary. In fact, it becomes detrimental in a state of transmission. Because in a state of transmission, we need all minds on deck. We need all minds on deck. We need all minds on deck. State of transmission, because you all play a part as the Mentellectuals. You all play a part in this transmission. You all play a part in this extended picture that is making itself seen to us every day. Once we got past sacrifice, once we got past all the things that we didn't need in this transmission, in this evolution, now we have necessity. All we have is all we need. We have all that we need. We have all that we need amongst us and the elect. And we will have even more as time goes on, if we know exactly what it is that we need. We need this transmission. We need Mentellect. We need to extend ourselves as intellectuals continuously, as that race of elect. We don't need nothing else. We don't need the people who are not amongst us, who are not really with us. We don't need them. And like I said, people will show themselves over time to be real or not. They'll show themselves, unmask themselves. We do what's necessary in this transmission forward. We do what's necessary. We do what is needed in bringing forward the highest extension of ourselves. Because when you are in alignment, when we are in alignment collectively, we are producing an extended picture. We are seeing ourselves on greater levels, levels that we could have never seen ourselves on when we were moving in the two-dimensional realm. We were moving in that low level as black people, amongst black people. The picture was very much unclear. Now it's becoming more and more clear. It is producing more and more projection. The depth is becoming more and more seen and visible to us, becoming more visible. You know, it's interesting. There's a movie out right now called The Invisible Man. Now, I find it funny that they keep putting this movie out, right? And my father called me and told me about it. He wants me to check the movie out, which I probably will, right? And I said to myself, why is it that these Caucasians are putting out movies like The Invisible Man, right? Made me think about that. And what it told me is that these people are really literally telling you that they're vanishing. They're going to vanish. That's what they're literally telling you. And the presence of their spirit will still be here. They're telling you through their movies, because that's what an invisible person is. An invisible person is nothing but a spirit or spirit energy. And they're basically telling you that they're going to vanish off of the planet. That's all. That's why they're making movies like this. Projectionary beings, or projecting from higher definition, definitive states, projecting from higher states of life. Because we are, make no mistake about it, the elect, the intellectuals, we are being projected from higher definitive states. We are being projected from higher dimensions into this third dimension. We are being linked up with our higher selves right now, and we are being shown the way out of here. Through this transmission, through this collective transmission, we're being shown the way out of here. Forward. We've come to a great day. That's what the whole gathering of the elect was about. When Honorable Elijah Muhammad was talking about gathering the elect, when Dr. Mentellectual was talking about gathering the elect, that's what this was all about. Gathering the minds of the elect, the intellectuals, the ones who are mentally chosen to produce this extended picture, this fourth dimensional picture. That's what this was all about. It was a mental projection that was being handed to us by way of their sacrifice, so that we don't have to sacrifice no more. It was being handed to us by way of their sacrifice. The messenger had to sacrifice. Dr. Mentellectual had to sacrifice. NUBEN MENKARAYZZ ain't got to sacrifice no more. Those of you who are walking with me as the Amen Ray in this day and time, we ain't sacrificing nothing no more. Because everything is a necessity. As we walk this path, everything is a necessity. Everything is a necessity. As we walk this path, those of you who are still talking about ancient world and the Olmecs and whatnot, all that's going to be put to an end. Even all that talking about the Olmecs and what's going on in the ancient world and society today, we're not talking about that no more. In fact, I want you all, those of you who got them Olmec heads on your wall, I want you to clear those off of your wall. We ain't talking about no Olmecs no more. This is future forward. We're not talking about nothing the people in the past are talking about. We done with that. That's it. That's it. We're going to start having future images on our wall because we are those future beings that are coming forward in this day and time. We're not looking back. It's only forward. I gave you future names. I gave you all future names, and it was rejected by people who were of the past and those who were stuck in the present. So I understood why I understood why they rejected it. Because they wasn't for them. It wasn't for them. They are people that are forgotten about. They are people that have been forgotten. They are going and forgotten. But we will be remembered forever. We will be transmitting forever. We will be coming forward forever. Why? Because of what we're doing today. What we have walked away from today. And what we are walking into tomorrow. We will continuously be transmitting forward. What you are willing to walk away from today and walk to tomorrow, that is the necessity of your extension and your evolution. Those people that's trying to get you to hold on to yesterday or trying to get you to feel bad about yesterday, trying to make you feel some kind of way emotional, no, them people are going to go. Those people are going to be severed. They already know they're going to be severed. They're not fit to be part of this evolution. They're not fit. We move on continuously. We carry on continuously because it is necessary. The soldier in the battlefield, he ain't got time to pick up dead bodies. The soldier in the battlefield got to keep moving. He ain't got time to pick up dead bodies and carry them on his back. You all are soldiers. And we are moving through a battlefield, a mental battlefield of dead people. Mentally dead people. That's why the messenger said the so-called black man and black woman mentally dead. That was from Amen, directly from Amen. That came from him. He said black people are mentally dead. He knew back then. That's why he said at the end of all this, I quote the messenger all the time. I always take a page from his book because that was a wise man, a bright man right there. He said at the end of all this, he said the true people that's gonna be with me, my true followers going to be able to fit in a taxi cab. Now, he had hundreds of thousands of followers. But he said, my real followers are going to be able to fit in a taxi cab. Because he was so advanced and ahead of his time, he was such a bright man that he knew he had black people moving with him. He was trying to pull some black people forward. He was a bright man who was trying to pull black people forward, but a lot of them didn't want to go. And proof of that was when he passed on, what they do, they went right back into Islam up under the white man, up under the Arabs. Minister Farrakhan included. They went right back up under the white man, under the Arabs. But that's a sign. That's a sign that that nation wasn't the one. Those people weren't the one. The messenger was the open door to the next covenant, the next movement. Even with Dr. York. Those people weren't the ones. Because he took everybody through the religion and everything, and he got rid of the things that were unnecessary. He got rid of the things. He did a lot of things. He helped clean up a lot of things before I came on the scene that we didn't need. He helped get rid of the religion. So I'm always going to thank Dr. York. He helped clean up a lot of things that we didn't need. He opened the door to intelligence and logic and rationale. So he didn't make a lot of intelligent, logical, and rational decisions. No disrespect to him. But, when you're dealing with black people, that's what happens. You get caught up in emotion and you start making decisions based on emotion. And that's what happened with my mentor, Dr. York. He couldn't make the hard decisions, the necessary decisions as a logical and thinking man that he was, but he allowed emotion to sway him. He allowed emotion to sway him. Not me. Not me. Not us. Not the Mentellectuals. We are a whole other breed. Oh yes, we are a whole nother breed. We are a whole nother transmission. We are a whole nother reception. Amen is guiding us into this reception as it is needed. We are the next warriors on the next battlefield. And the battle is a mental battle. It is a battle for mind control. It is a battle for mind control, and we need the strongest minds in the battlefield of everyday existence as we're moving to this thing as a living race of beings. We are a living race of beings moving amongst a bunch of dead people who are just hanging around existing. That's how you got to see it, because that's really how it is. That's really how it is. Reality, right here. Things that we cannot get away from. But we damn sure can move through it. We damn sure can move through it. And as such, we will. We will move through this together. Because it is necessary. We will be standing side by side as soldiers of one another, and we're not going to hold each other back. If there is any weakness amongst us, we got to cut it off, people off. Because our future depends on it. I want you all to hear me. Our future depends on what we produce today, what we see tomorrow. Even the things you can't see right now readily. So you should be looking forward into the future. Be right back. In the coming days, the more and more we raise ourselves and walk into these titles and intellectuals, you will begin to notice a shift, if you haven't noticed already, a shift in what you're seeing and how you're thinking. We're going through a next shift. And in this shift, again, the reality, the full-on reality and the factuality of whatever people were presenting to you in one facet, people you may have known for years, they're going to start to show you different sides of themselves, sides that you may not have seen, right? Sides you may not like, but what they're showing you is the full-on picture of themselves. And in this, you take it as what it is, reality and actuality of what is meant to be and how you must move as it is necessary to you. Because when people show you limitations in themselves, it is not for you to try to extend the people who show you limitations. It's not in you to extend or try to extend the limitations of things that are just meant to be limited. Your power and your energy has to go for the extension of you all, yourselves, within this community, within this collective, to continue your space and your place as intellectuals within this covenant, within this community, right? We are registering ourselves in the fourth dimension because, again, this is where we belong. Very, very detrimental and very necessary that we register ourselves within the fourth dimension as those continuous projections of Amen, as those continuous projections of our ascendants here, right now. Because reality is continuously calling us. Reality is the picture that is being presented to us by our ascendants. That is what we are being given. We are being presented with reality by our ascendants, how things are supposed to be, how we are supposed to be, who we are supposed to be, right now. Right now. And sometimes it may not be what you thought it was going to be, or you might not end up with who you thought you was going to end up with, or you might not, be in the place where you thought you was going to be at, but it is all for the evolution and the greatness of who we are. We are evolving. We are evolving. We are not changing, we are evolving. And evolution demands that we extend with the open dimensions, the outer dimensions in which we live. We live in these extended places already. We just have to get to that. And as intellectuals, we will get there. As intellectuals who are contacting our extended selves into the fourth dimension, we're contacting our higher self. We are making contact with our higher self. This is what we are, I don't want to use the word attempting. This is what we are being utilized to do. This is what we are being trained to do, contacting our extended selves, bringing ourselves into alignment with our extended selves. Your children represent your extended self. Again, there are many different versions and forms of your extended self in these upper dimensions. There are many different forms of yourself in the fourth dimension, many extended versions of yourself, and they all work in unison. This is not multiple. This is all one of a continuous and extended picture. There are many extended versions of yourself in the fourth dimension. Extended versions that make up one. You have different degrees of yourself in the fourth dimension. And you will come to realize that as we're moving towards that. And they all show themselves in your mental capability that you will develop over time. You will see yourself, the extension of yourself, in your telepathy, and your clairvoyance, and your intuition. You will see the extension of yourself. And in each different form, you will not look the same, but they will all fit in like a puzzle. They will all fit in like pieces to a puzzle. It will all still be one piece. They will not be adverse to each other. They will be complementing each other. They will be in alignment with each other as we grow into these mentellectuals. Our focus will be key. Our vision will be key. Our perception will be key. They will be so keen, it will be so sharp that it will begin to scare people. That's why I said it's good that we start practicing isolating ourselves from a lot of these people in the, greater populace. Just move about, as you have to do. But it's good to start isolating yourself from people in the greater populace because they're going to eventually isolate you anyway. They're going to look at you as outcasts. So it's best that you cast yourselves out first before they cast you out. In fact, you shouldn't even want to be amongst them. It's best that you cast yourself out. Go about, and like I said, you feel a freedom in that because, it's a choice that you've made. You feel a freedom in that when there's a choice that you made to cast yourself out from amongst those who wish to pull you in just to cast you out, right? Point out the things that are obviously different, and it's going to become different from everybody else over time. As you extend yourself as these mentellectuals, as these elect, those chosen elect of Amen, those who are being raised by that greater extension of our ascension, as you're being chosen for this place and in this time and in this extended space, as you're being pushed into that space, right, walking into it by way of invitation, gladly accepting it, whatever the sacrifice is, even if it be your life. You accept it gladly. You want whatever is coming to you. I said the same thing to me. I want whatever is coming to me. Whatever is going to be part of the evolution, I want what's coming to me. Whatever great is coming to us all, I accept it as part of the evolution. My life, your lives, our lives are part of this greater machine, this bigger picture. Again, we're not about the sacrifice no more. We're about the necessity. The necessity is that we continue on. We continue on where everybody else is dying around us, mentally dying around us, and eventually physically dying around us. We have to become strong mentally. Just when you're seeing these people shut down around you mentally, it's a good preparation for watching them shut down around you physically. You see, because we must be emotionless while we're seeing all the mental death taking place around us and the physical death. We must become emotionless to it and realize this is all a part of real life, extended life, advanced life. Because again, people die by way of their own limitations. And we live by way of none. We live by way of no limitations. And you have people that are going to die every day by way of their limitations. You see, we cannot have that with ourselves. We must always be ready to extend ourselves. Mentally, physically, soulfully, extend ourselves. And we cannot give energy to the emotional part because that clouds our extension mentally, physically, and soulfully. This is what keeps us linked to the three-dimensional realm. The two-dimensional realm. That keeps us linked to that. So we must never allow people to pull us back toward that. We must shut those people out, even if we have to get away from those people. We must learn to tune these people out. We must become stronger in the procession of thought that Amen is sending to us as these mentellectuals. Amen is illuminating pictures in bright, I'm going to say it, Amen is illuminating, our ascendants are illuminating images to us and brighter procession over time. Brighter visions are coming to us and will come to us. More extended pictures are coming to us and will come to us. More of our capabilities building up as we have sacrificed, or should I say, went through the sacrifice, and now we're in the point of necessity. We have chosen to store our thoughts, isolate ourselves, or should I say, project them forward into the extended state of being. Because like I said, sometimes you have to shut your thoughts down and make sure that they are all being harnessed, so when you direct them outward, it helps in projecting you. This is what the Mentellectual does. The Mentellectual harnesses, stores, and releases thought as an open door or an open invitation into the fourth dimension. This is what we do. The things that I say and give to my people as we going forward, the things I put out to you, I want you to really listen to what I give to you and what I share with you, because again, the words will produce power. The words will produce power. Material does not produce power. Words produce power. Words. And what you're able to do with the message. Material could come over time, but the words produce power. The power has always been in the words. And now that the word is going to transmit, or is trying to transmit from the fourth dimension, or is continuously going to transmit from the fourth dimension, and we as open receivers to this word are bringing ourselves into alignment with it and looking forward into the future. We're not looking back. We are going to become the power because we allowed ourselves to be evolved in this state of continuously becoming. We have allowed ourselves by necessity to extend ourselves. We have allowed ourselves to extend ourselves without boundaries, without fear, without emotion, without any of these things, without the limitations of others around us. Because again, we walk in a world with people who are nothing but limited beings. They limited by their race. I'm black. I can't do this. I'm here. I can't do this. I can't do. No. We can do whatever we want to do as long as it is necessary. Necessity now becomes the law of the future world. Necessity becomes the law of the future world. The only law that we follow, that of necessity. The only law that we follow as Mentellectuals is the law of necessity. Logical necessity. Extended necessity. The reason. If you got somebody around you who's being emotional, being all out of whack mentally, and there's no reason to it for it, you ought to tell them once, maybe tell them twice, and then you start to sever your tie with those people. You start making plans to sever your tie, because sometimes you have to put a barrier between people who are too emotional, who are emotionally disturbed, mentally disturbed. They have to be quarantined, separated. You can't work with those people because it takes too much energy. It's too exhausting. As Mentellectuals, we must constantly be focused on the bigger picture, which is the extension of us through our children, which are the Amen, through our projection, through our continuous projections that are going to move us forward as a collective race of beings on a higher dimensional scale. Toward our higher mental capabilities, we are tuning in now. Telepathy, I told you, was the first and a long transmission of collective thought. Those of you who said, well, I was getting some telepathy before I came to the Republic, it's going to get stronger. Your telepathy that you was getting before you came here is what brought you here. That was the only real reason why you had it. It wasn't for nothing else. That's like saying I got a phone, but nobody else got a phone. So then what good is the phone? You have telepathy because you were meant to find people who were in a community that were building that mental capability up. Just as you are meant to come and build it up so that we can speak to each other going forward in the future so that we can communicate on a whole greater level beyond mankind, beyond humans, beyond any living entity or existing entity on this planet. We are building a greater communication, a greater projection. So know that this is all necessary in the evolution of us. This is the evolution of us. This is the extension of us. This is the involvement of us. We came too far to turn around and uninvolve ourselves for lesser things, for low-level things. We've come too far. But for those who haven't come far enough mentally, the door is open. We'll be right back. And that was the weirdness of Mr. Miles Davis. Very weird cat, but good music anyway he produced. Anyway, so as these future visions are making their way to us in stronger projections and making its way to us and putting pictures, full-on pictures in our minds of where we're supposed to go in a direction, this is necessary, is key. We live by our transmission. We live by our thought. We live by the greater collective transmission. Again, this is supposed to be like our harness of power, our reception of power. That's what this is. And this is what this is coming to. And we're calling out the brighter minds. Like I said, I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how long it grows. When I want to continuously grow, because we're calling on the brighter minds. We are here for quality and not quantity. We're here for the quality of the people, because in time the quality will become better once you isolate and pull out the quality people. The quality will become greater and the focus will become greater. And the transmission will become even greater, because it has like minds to receive it. It has like minds to receive this greater transmission. Like minds will receive this greater transmission in extended levels. In extended levels of power and extended levels of continuous transmission. Like minds will receive this. And again, this is what we're out here for, the like mind. Because like I said, what holds us back and prevents us from moving forward is if we're trying to make way for those who want to continuously set the bar low. When we're looking to continuously set the bar high, we want to continuously set the bar high and thus rise to the occasion. Rise to the occasion of producing, because we're not in this to make excuses. We're not in this to make excuses for anything. There's no more excuses for anything. None. We're not here to make excuses on why we don't have certain things, why we ain't got this, why we can't do that. I don't want to hear it. And you shouldn't want to hear it from yourself. We're not in this to make excuses. We're in this to produce. We're in this to produce. And we must always continue to be producers. This is what separates us from separates us from everybody else. See? No more excuses. No more excuses. Certain people want to create an environment for excuses, and we don't have no environment for that here. There's no environment for I can't. There's no environment for I can't. What that means is you don't want to. There's no environment for I can't. The environment is a working environment, a continuous environment. Wherever we can't figure out, we figure it out and do it. When people now come to me with excuses about anything, I don't want to hear it. I just don't. There's no need for excuses. People come to me with excuses, that tells me one thing, that you are incompetent. That's how I look at you. And that's how you should look at anyone who comes to you with excuses on why they can't do something that is supposed to be necessary. We as intellectuals, we are always the solution to a problem. We are walking solutions to all problems as intellectuals. We are walking solutions. So therefore, we shouldn't have no problems. None whatsoever. Nothing that we can't handle. You see? Because you really shouldn't be around in one place at a time to even get in a problem with somebody. You know, I used to think back to the times where I got in trouble with people and got caught up in things. And, you know, I thought to myself, when I was driving, you know, because that's why I like one of y'all like to drive, because it helps me think motion and movement and even working out and stuff like that. You know, it helps me to think. You know, I thought about the times I got in problems with people when I could have just walked away from a lot of things. You know, I could have just walked away. Just walking, you see the power in just walking away from people. I learned the power in just walking away from people. People who talking to you. You understand? People who talking to you and trying to get your attention and trying to argue with you. You'll see a lot of power in just ignoring people and just walking away. Now, if they put their hands on you and grab you, that's something else. That's when a whole another level of hyper power comes in, and that's when you deal with them. But see, they only going to resort to that if they really want your attention. They'll put their hands on you and grab you. That's when a whole other type of hyper capability of power comes in. But there's so much power in ignoring people and walking away from people and just disregarding people. You'll see the power in that. Because you are showing that you cherish your thoughts. People feel the most insulted, the most disrespected when you walk away and turn your back on them and don't even say nothing to them. Just walk away as they talking to you in mid-conversation. You see, because people want to pull your energy because that's a necessity for them. It is not a necessity for you at all. Not a necessity for you. As intellectuals, we don't need anything from these people, honestly. Honestly. They will need us way before we need them over time, because our presence will be known and shared and be felt continuously, because the very people that you come in contact, if you ever notice this with people, when you come in contact with people and they might just see you a few times, and you notice the less you say to them, the more they remember you. You ever get that? The less you say to people, the more they remember you. You notice that? The less you talk to people, the less you communicate and things like that, the more they remember you, the more you stick out to the people that run their mouth as much and always talking and things like that. Those are the forgettable people. The people that talk to you less, and when they do talk, they got something necessary to say. Those are the people you remember the most. Those are the people who are the powerful people. Those are the people who are in alignment to be those intellectuals. Because a intellectual only opens their mouth when there's something that's worthwhile coming out, because your mental and your verbal skills and everything else are supposed to come in sync with each other. So whenever you say anything, the power of your word becomes strong. See, because a lot of people, their words are weak because their mind is not connected to it. Their words are weak because their minds are not connected to their words. They're just saying anything. They're not thinking, they're just saying anything. You see? They're just saying anything. So your words become weak when they're not thought. When they're not thought out, when they're not necessary, your words become weak. You know? What's that saying? It's better to, how that saying go? It's better to, be silent and be ignorant, be silent and be ignorant, and than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. But see, we ain't going to be silent and ignorant. The power of our silence will say everything. The power of your silence in the general populace as you move about and say less is possible will be felt. Because I noticed that I practiced that abstinence of verbal, communication with people. I'm practicing the abstinence of that. I'm only speaking when I need to the people I want to speak to, the people who I feel are necessary. People who I don't feel necessary, I ain't got nothing to say to you. I don't got nothing to say to people who are unnecessary, because, again, your mental power is key in focusing on what you want. Your stare becomes deadly when you're looking at people and you don't even have to say nothing. You just looking at them does a lot. They can read you, so you already penetrating their minds just by looking at them. You already penetrating their minds. The power of your mental projection is becoming stronger just by you not even saying nothing to them. You ain't got to argue. You ain't got to flip out. Just a stare you get. Your silence will say it all. You see? Just your silence and a stare will say it all. Because they don't know what's coming next. And what's supposed to come next is you turning your back and walking away from them. They will remember that as if you were to put your hands on and kick their ass. They will remember that. more than you putting a beating on them, yelling at them, screaming at them. They will remember that because that is the power of your intellectual projection. Your deep impression will be made with your thought and your silence. And I guarantee you, those people will know where you're coming from, and they will start to alter themselves according to what it is that you did not say, as opposed to what you could say, because you could weaken your point just by opening your mouth. You weaken your point just by opening your mouth. You scare the most people. Most of the people you scare or you intimidate is when you don't say nothing at all to them. When you say nothing at all, you have the power. When you say nothing, because you are harnessing your thought. People in this society are afraid of your thoughts, especially when you're a thinker. People are afraid of your thoughts. You are going to become the ultimate thinkers as the Mentellectuals. More powerful than any intellectual, pseudo-intellectuals, what I call them. Because the real intelligent ones are the Mentellectuals now. The bar has been raised. The bar has been raised. There's no more intellectuals. I'm only using that, because that's part of my thing. But that might change. I might not even be the intellectual NUBEN MENKARAYZZ now. I'm not going to be the Mentellectual one, but, who knows? We'll see. We'll see. Because the bar has been raised by the Mentellectuals. The bar has been raised. The mental bar has been raised. And it's being raised into the fourth dimension. You are being projected into that. You are being extended into that by sheer necessity and the need to fill that space. You are being projected into that now. Pure mind, pure focus, pure extension of thought, moving through all obstacles, two-dimensional and three-dimensional realm, to reach the fourth dimension of pure power. Practice your abstinence of speech. Practice your abstinence of speech. Speak when only necessary, when you want to speak to somebody, when you need to speak to somebody, when it's a necessity. Practice the abstinence of speech. My speech became more and more necessary because I have to transmit these messages out to the elect, to the intellectuals, to the bright ones. That's why. But I practice abstinence of speech. I'm probably one of the most quietest people when I'm not doing this broadcast. And, I'm going to speak to the people who are necessary for me to speak to, who I want to speak to, who I feel it's necessary to speak. But other than that, I got nothing for these people. I got nothing to say at all. It's because it's a waste of words and it's a waste of mental energy. It's a waste of words. I decided going forward not to waste my mental energy anymore. I need every bit of it, just as you all do as Mentellectuals now. Now that we have entered this realm as Mentellectuals, no longer Mentalians, no longer Mentalists. Now that we have entered this realm of Mentellectuals, we're going to need all the mental capabilities and power and focus and direction that we can get. Get ready. The extension is now and next. So let me go ahead and read these questions before we get out of here. What is the evolution into the Mentellectual mind? Simply, we're tunneling in more into the fourth dimensional now, where there's no more boundaries. Somebody asks me, well, what's our nationality? We ain't got no nationality. We are celestial beings of the Amen race. And we are registering here, projecting ourselves here as Mentellectuals, the chosen of Amen, who are being raised in this day and time as the Amen race, separating ourselves from the human race. This is our planet. And this is our transmission. And our projection is all about us. First projection. As the Mentellectuals, that's who we are. Why is this necessary? Because if not us, who else then? Who else is going to take this planet forward? It's not going to be none of these people here. It's not going to be the so-called white man. It's going to be the so-called black man. They're done. They're finished. It is the bright race that is necessary in this day and time, that is needed in this day and time to guide the world forward. This world is sick. This planet is sick. The people are sick mentally. And they're crying out for a cure. We are the mental cure by way of Amen. When did this begin? Now. Next. What is this eventually going to happen? What is eventually going to happen? Fourth dimensional transmission projection, extension. Are we the first of the mentellectual in the three-dimensional realm as the Amen race? Yes. That's what the elect is all about. The next level thinkers, the next level, next dimensional thinkers who are being raised in the three-dimensional realm through fourth dimensional projection by way of our ascendants. There is no God, there is no devil. It is only us in upper and higher dimensions. That's it. That's the reality. And we have to get to us collectively. We're going to close out in the name of Amen by the power of Amen. And Amen we trust, and Amen we think, and in Amen we continue forward forever. I'll see y'all all back here tomorrow night at 10. Hail Amen, hail the Mentellectuals, hail the Republic of Mentellect forever. I am the intellectual NUBEN MENKARAYZZ. This has been Mentellect Radio. Good night.
Rising out the black race to the bright race, out the black race to the bright race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the bright race. If it's hell, Amen, then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we can do.